Hey comic fans, it's VM Campos. Welcome to another episode of the weekly Top Comic Book Picks Live with VM Campos. Hey, that's me. This is the show where we talk about comic books. What are the comic books that are coming out in the next week that you need to know about? We're going to talk about the final order cutoff date comics. These are comics that if you want a guaranteed copy, you've got to contact your comic shop, tell them VM Campos sent you, and put that in on your pull list. So we're going to focus on new issue number ones, and then also anything that kind of catches my attention. So thank you for visiting the show live. I do this every Saturday, 11:30 a.m. Pacific time. Adjust your time zone. If you're watching the video after the fact, shame on you. Come back next time live every 11:30 a.m. Pacific time. But the video has also been marked with chapters. If you look down at the bottom, the play bar down there is divided into chapters. So the various companies, Marvel, Image, etc. Every company is divided into a little chapter down there, so you can jump to what you care about the most. Hopefully, you watch the whole thing. But if you want to jump to the publisher that you like the best, it's been edited there after it's live. So we're live right now. Let's talk about some comics. Switching over to Previews World. So here's the main distributor of comics, and here's where we can learn everything that's coming out. So again, the show focuses mostly on number ones, but other things that stand out that might be cool. First of all, I'm going to pick right here in Image Comics, Adventure Man, number 3. So this is a wonderful comic by Matt Fraction, Terry, and Rachel Dodson. It's a great pastiche of pulp magazine adventure superhero plus the modern world. Adventure Man, 80 years ago, there was a cliffhanger ending to his story, and then now, 80 years later or so, Claire picks up the mantle, perhaps, of Adventure Man. Now, this is issue number 3, so number 1's been out for a little while. It's also going to second printing, so I'm definitely picking this one up. This one is on my pull list. Really enjoying it, and I'm just telling you all about it right here. It's issue number 3, but you got to go back to issues 1 and 2 and read them to be up to date with all of this good stuff. Here's a new number 1 that's coming out, Big Girls number 1. This is also by Image. Jason Howard is the writer, and Jason Howard is the interior art and cover art, so it's one of these creator-owned comics that Image is so good at. When men become giant monsters hell-bent on destroying the world, only girls can stop them. Big Girls. Meet Ember. She writes poetry, loves to read, and she's a 300-foot-tall full-time monster killer. She and the other big girls are all that stand in the way of our world's complete annihilation. Critically acclaimed artist Jason Howard, who worked on Trees, that interesting story about everyone turning into trees for some reason, takes full creative control as the writer and artist of a tale that's a cross between John Wick and Godzilla by way of HBO's Girls. So this sounds hilarious. This is what I love about comics. This is what I think is very interesting about this medium, that you're able to combine things in fascinating ways. And here's issue number 1, so that's coming out next week. I mean, the final order cutoff is next week, so make sure you get that one pre-ordered. There's also a little bit of a preview right here. We can see the art a little bit. Looks pretty epic so far, as you can see here. And yeah, I'm on board with this. Look at that. That shot looks epic right there. Love it. Middle West trade paperback number 3 is coming out. Oblivion Song 26. So those are the big things that I'm on the lookout for. On Image, I kind of like this cover, but I'm not reading Excellence at the moment. It is on issue number 9. This is Brandon Thomas, Kerry Randolph, Emilio Lopez, Taurin Clark. This is an alternate art by Taurin Clark. And again, I'm not reading this one, but I like this. I like this cover. If you zoom in on it, Cityscape. Character right here. Cool costume and everything. So yeah, Excellence. Those are the Image comics that I'm looking out for this week. What about yourself? Are you interested in anything on Image? that I didn't get here, tell me all about it, of course, right there in the chat or the comments. Moving over to Dark Horse. So Dark Horse has been slim pickings recently, unfortunately, so we'll see what they've got here. We've got a brand new Avatar, The Last Airbender comic. We've got Baboon. This is something original right here. Written by Pau. Art by Pau. A baboon fights its way to its rightful spot in the animal kingdom in this wonderfully illustrated wordless graphic novel by revered Spanish writer and artist Pau, author of Atlas and Axis. After the death of its adopted leopard mother, an orphaned baboon wanders the wild in search of a companionship and a sense of identity. Stumbling upon a troop of baboons from which it was originally stolen, the baboon falls in love with the troop's head female, etc. So it's a wordless trade paperback, so it's the complete story that you can binge it all in one sitting. And these are fascinating when these come out. Of course, comic books are the melding of words and images. This follows the pantomime tradition, and so there's like no words at all. Of course not, they're animals. But it's by a Spanish artist, Pau. Comes out October 28th. Final order cutoff this Monday if you're interested in something different. The Courageous Princess, trade paperback number 3. Miss Koizumi Loves Ramen Noodles, trade number 2. And Tomorrow trade paperback. So, this is a complete collection. Peter Milligan and Jesus Hervas. A shocking new story by legendary writer Peter Milligan. When a Russian computer virus jumps the species barrier, wiping out most adults, the world falls precariously into the hands of the next generation. In the wake of devastation, music prodigy Oscar Fuentes is separated from his twin sister Sierra. Without each other's support, stranded on opposite sides of the country, they're swept into rapidly evolving network of diverse teenage gangs. So that's fascinating right there. Computer viruses, which ravage the modern society now, are able to infect people, WTH, and then a brother and sister can do all that they can to try to stop it. Again, this is the fascinating part about comic books. These stories with their text and their imagery really are a beautiful medium to get into. So don't forget to check out the comic shop locator to find your local shops. Support your local shops. Yes, you can buy this stuff off of Amazon or get it off of Comixology, but support the local shops. Fun fact, most comic shops are a labor of love by people that love comics, love this sort of form of entertainment, and just want to spread the word of comics. So it really helps to support them. Moving over to IDW, we've got a few various books over here. So the issue number 1s that are coming out in Dark Horse. There are not any at the moment that are issue number 1s, but the continuing books that I'm interested in, well, if you're interested in My Little Pony, we've got My Little Pony Season 10, issue 89. That's kind of fascinating to think that that's been out for 89 issues now. If we do a little bit of math here, assuming that this has been published every month, there's 12 months per year, 89 issues divided by 12, this series has been out for at least 7 years. Now, sometimes they take a hiatus and so forth, but this series has been out for 7 years, 89 issues. In today's modern, reboot, crazed world of comics, that's a fascinating thing that the series is still out. Ted Anderson, writer, Tony Fleece, art, and cover art here by Andy Price. Season 10 of My Little Pony begins. Explore new worlds and go on new adventures with your favorite fillies. Twilight's first act as Queen of Equestria is to send the main 6 to explore mysterious and potentially dangerous areas of Equestria. So, if you're a brony, if you're into My Little Pony, this is for all ages. Wonderful art on the cover right here. Slightly off model, I would say, but still just this. I love this style of art. It's like this innocent, cartoony style. Got a little bit of like this hippie style of 60s. This font right here is completely like, something that I would have seen on a Jimi Hendrix album back in the day. And let's get this party started. So season 10, a great starting point for a new Little Pony, a little Pony fan to get into. That caught my attention. Now on the opposite side, how about G.I. Joe, a real American hero, Snake Eyes origin? Larry Hama, who worked on the G.I. Joe comics back in the 80s, and art by Hama, Steve Leialoha. I always say his name wrong. Leialoha. Just remember the Leialoha Hawaii. And Paco Diaz, cover artist. The strangest secret of all, revealed. Find out the origin of Snake Eyes. Discover the true past of Storm Shadow and get a major revelation about Cobra Commander. It's all here in the special reprint of Classic G.I. Joe, issues 26 to 27. So this is fascinating because it's reprinting the original comics from the 80s for the new modern sensibilities, new cover art and so forth, and you get 2 issues for the price of 1. What do you think about that? Trade paperbacks, of course, are 4 to 6 issues in one price, usually $12 to $16 or so. Here we have 2 comics for $5, so $3.99 is the regular price of most comics nowadays. This is at $4.99, and it's collecting a couple of classic comics from the 80s. What do you think about that? So Dark Horse has been doing that recently. Regular Transformers comics are out here. Transformers Galaxies, regular Transformers series. Let's take a look at one of these. I'm not reading these myself, but if you're into Transformers, here we have it. This cover's kind of fun. I don't know, it reminds me like a hip-hop cover. Are they doing an homage to the hip-hop covers? I was just looking at some vintage Transformers comics yesterday. I was on eBay browsing the vintage comics. For example, Transformers #1, I was looking at that the Canadian price variant is like $500. So if you were in Canada, you had to pay $1 for issue #1, where in the US you had to pay 75 cents. So there was the... actually not the Canadian one, the second printing? I think second printing was the expensive one. Anyway, then the art was so naive back then, and obviously it was what we had back then. But nowadays, with even like these basic little cell shading and such, it really makes the art just pop. So compared to the original art, there's that right there. So Crisis prisoners, Cybertronians, have died and their killers have yet to face justice. With one murderer finally on his way to detention for his crimes, a new challenge arises, getting him there without the loss of any more lives. So if this is a jumping on point, is issue 22. If this is a jumping on point, I like those as well. They should kind of say it more explicitly on the solicits right here, so that people know, well, I haven't read the other 21 issues, I'm going to be totally lost. Well, comics often do, even if they don't renumber back to #1, they do these sort of jumping on points to get new fans into it, so this seems to be one here. And then Usagi Yojimbo Color Classic, 6 of 7. Oh, there's only 7 of these. I thought this was going to be an ongoing series. I picked up issue #1 when the new Usagi series debuted. I picked up issue #1. I thought this is cool, but honestly, I like the original, unaltered, uncolorized version of Usagi Yojimbo. And apparently this is issue 6 of 7, so it was just sort of going to be like an intro to Usagi classic comics. Join Usagi on one of his most famous adventures as he meets a formidable and very unusual opponent, Zatoina, the blind sword pig. Also includes in this issue a quiet meal, which proves to be anything but, colored by Rhonda Pattison from TMNT. So again, I'm kind of an old school Usagi fan. I like the black and white version of it much better. The modern colorization, it's no disrespect to the colorist, but it works. It's adequate. It's for modern sensibilities that perhaps modern comic readers expecting things in color, but there's still a charm to things in black and white. And the original Usagi comics had mostly been black and white. There were a few forays into color comics here and there in the original 34 years of its existence, and now it's just in color at IDW. The art is still amazing. The story is still I love. That's one of the series I'm picking up on the regular. But the the color aspect of it, I'm not a big fan of it. So caveat emptor, canis canem. Let's look at DC Comics, and we'll take a little break to get some water. Okay, over at DC, we've got Deceased Dead Planet 2 of 6. Are you following up on the Deceased storyline? This is their second foray into DC zombies, if you want to call it like that. Are you into the DC Deceased series? This is Dead Planet. The sequel to the best-selling miniseries continues. The Justice League is trapped on Earth, and they've discovered that life still survives on this dead planet. Survival is precarious, though, and with billions of infectives still roaming the surface, death lies around every corner. But it isn't just the anti-living our heroes have to worry about, because John Constantine, Swamp Thing, and Zatanna are about to discover another evil growing. So that's Deceased. It's interesting how there was Marvel Zombies back in 2004, 2005, and then DC did Blackest Night. One of my most popular videos on my YouTube channel is my exclusive look at DC Zombies before they were fully named, way back in Comic-Con 2009 or something. That's got thousands of views. People were like, wow, DC Zombies? And then that eventually, of course, became Blackest Night, which was a pretty cool series. Now, years later, they're doing another Blackest Night, but it's tied into DC, the whole metal, right? The Dark Dimension, whatever it's called. And here then we have more DC Zombies. Deceased. I love the name of that. Deceased. It's just so evocative. And we've got a few variant covers to look at. This is the Ben Oliver movie variant cover. Cool. And then one more, this Francesco Mattina cover. Ooh, love that cover. Let's get a close-up right here. Love how that looks. The reds and the whites. This is a cardstock cover, I believe. So, yeah, it looks nice. Alright, let's do a little pause right here. Back in less than 5 minutes. We will look at the next publishers. Tell me all about what you're looking forward to. And we'll go on. Just a little break. And we're back. I told you it was going to be a short break. So, okay, let's go on to the next batch of comics. Over here, these are the comics that you need to know about. Welcome back. If you're just joining, this is the top comic book picks for the following week. These are the comic books that you need to know about, and tell your comic shop that VM Campo sent you, because these are the this show focuses on issue number ones, plus other comics that might pop out that might stand out, that might be interesting to you. So let's get back to the browsing. We're looking at Marvel Comics here. So again, I'm usually on the lookout for various issue number ones. That's my main priority here. Plus we also have like other books that might catch our attention. So let's see all the stuff that's happening over at Marvel. What do you think about these, like, these toy covers? I think the trompe-l'oeil of it all is pretty cool, which means fool the eye. These like, you know, three-dimensional comic boxes, the superhero toy covers, I think they work very well. Like you look at them on the shelf and like they look like, yeah, that's a real toy. And then so here's a 2-pack with Black Panther and Valeria Richards. So Empire, are you checking out Empire? There's various Empire books coming out. I like this Michael Cho cover. His art is always so cool. This sort of like simplified style of art. What do you think of Michael Cho? Not Frank Cho. Michael Cho. Look at that. I love the really thick black outlines around Invisible Woman and the Thing. Such a cool cover, and it's like at this amazing Dutch angle that also stands up with those purples on the outfit. I like Reed's new beard look. I think that's kind of cool for him. Valerio Shitty. I don't know how to say his name exactly. Shitty. Hopefully I'm not getting demonetized by YouTube by saying an artist's name. How do you say his name anyway? Valerio Shitty or Skitty? How do you say his name? Anyway, this is the new Fantastic Four book. I love this cover. And what about yourself? Are you reading the Fantastic Four at the moment? This other cover here for Empire. This is the Kree Skull variant cover. We got Galactus in the background over here. Fun fact: when I was a little kid, I used to call him Galacticus. It's like, I don't know where those extra syllables came from, but that's how I used to call him when I was a little kid. Now I know better that his name is Galactus. And so yeah, pretty cool cover here. I love the purples. I always like the purple plus the green color scheme on things. And so that's Empire right there. What else is good that's coming out? If you have a recommendation, shout it out as well. I'd love to hear about it. Ooh, Ghost Spider, finally, Ghost issue number 9. So I've been reading Spider-Gwen since the beginning, since it was when she was one of the characters on Edge of Spider-Verse. I still have that issue in my collection. I was just looking at it on eBay, and Edge of Spider-Verse is getting ridiculously expensive. Let's take a quick detour over here to look up what the current prices are. Edge of Spider-Verse number 2. See, it already has it listed right there. $439. That is impossible. I remember when this book was $20. Now, I got my copy when it was cover price from my good buddy Ed Sherman over at Rising Sun Comics back in the day. I only got one copy of it. I wish I would have gotten all of them on the shelf. But anyway, these prices are outstanding. So you've got to go over to like second printing now if you want perhaps an affordable version. This is still $86 though. $95, $499. Oh well, it's CGC 9.8. Yeah, so if you want an original printing, let's look at the third printing. I think this went up to like 5 printings. Third printing is also expensive just because this is the you know, that one variant. $74, $89, $48, $50. Wow. And let's look. I'm just curious, what are the latest prices on these? Fourth printing. Do any of you out there have a copy of this yourself? Fourth printing with the pink bottom down here. $59.99, $54.49. Someone's trying to sell it for $129. Yeah, right. $60. Wow. And I'm pretty sure they went up to fifth printing. Did they go to sixth printing? Fifth printing. Fifth printing is $45 with the orange bottom. $46, $47, $20. There you go. There's an affordable copy of the first appearance of Spider-Gwen. And they didn't go to sixth printing, did they? Sixth printing? No, they only went up to fifth printing. Yeah, so 5 printings of Spider-Gwen, and then she's evolved throughout the various years, and now she's Ghost Spider. I still don't know how I feel about that name. Anyway, Shannon Maguire is the writer, Ig Iguara is the artist, and the cover artist is Takeshi Miyazawa. It's an interdimensional tour for Gwen Stacy and the Mary Janes. But just as things start going right for Gwen outside of the webs, something unsettling is happening to her suit. Something Gwenimous. So, are you into Spider-Gwen? I am. I've been picking up the series from issue number 1 through its various incarnations, and here's the next issue coming out, number 9. What is also good over at Marvel? Runaways has been good. Here it is, the trade paperback number 5. This collects issues 25 to 31. Rainbow Rowell as the writer, Janole and Andre as the artist, Chris Anka as the cover artist. So, Runaways, they've been around. That series has been around since the 80s, right? And I think since the 80s, and then rebooted, of course, and then on TV. Top Dog, what? Star Comics. Well, I remember Star Comics from the 80s. And art, John Romita. Okay, he's the world's smartest, funniest, and talkiest dog. That's right, Top Dog can talk, but don't tell anyone. One of the biggest names in Marvel's 1980s Star Comics imprint, Top Dog shared hair-raising and hilarious adventures with his pal, Joey Jordan. And now you can really relive them when Mervyn Megabucks, the richest, meanest kid in town, discovers what Top Dog is capable of. He sets out to dognap him. Our clever canine is accused of being a foreign spy and put behind bars. And what is the truth about Top Dog's past? And what will it mean for his and Joey's future? Hilarious? Featuring King Invisible, Frankenstein, Royal Roy, Dirty Dog, and would you believe the Amazing Spider-Man? Collects Top Dogs 1 through 14. So the secret life of Top Dog. A talking dog, where? Hey, I think I remember that joke. A dog says, "Bow wow, you jest." Nice throw, Joey. Meet the world's smartest, talkiest, funniest dog. Let's see, just out of curiosity, oops. Let's see what original Marvel Top Dog number 1 is going for. Marvel Top Dog number 1, CGC. So here's the original one, $2.99. Hey, yeah, they weren't kidding about Spider-Man. Here he is on issue number 10. How embarrassing. How embarrassing. That's kind of funny. The team up of the year. Can this be Spider-Man? It's kind of funny. Guest starring Spider-Man. So I don't remember reading Top Dog back in the day. Anyway, what year is this from? 1985. I got into comics in 1987, although my very first comic book was from 1985. This is hilarious. The little kid's got a Spider-Man t-shirt. It was fun. So anyway, yeah, Top Dog trade paperback is coming out. Star Wars action figure variant covers number 1. So is this a collection of all of the action figure covers? Get the ultimate Star Wars action figure collection in one single giant-sized comic book. As a child, John Tyler Christopher spent his days playing with blah 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 blah. Now almost 100 Christopher covers featuring everything from Akbar to Zuckuss are assembled in all their full-size glory in this instant collector's item issue. It's $9.99. You don't even have to take them out of the box. Okay, so yeah, these are the action figure covers that I was talking about. That they look pretty realistic. Some of them look better than others. I don't think Dr. Aphra looks Dr. Aphra-esque enough. I'm just too used to the artist of that book. Greedo. That doesn't look like Greedo. Lando looks cool. So yeah, those are the Star Wars covers. Pretty fun. So Star Wars Darth Vader has been probing the various edges of the Star Wars universe. We forget, especially after the prequel trilogy, of his relationship with Amidala, but who hunts the hunter? Darth Vader continues his terrifying quest for vengeance against everyone who hid the existence of his son from him. But on Naboo, the Dark Lord of the Sith faces a deadly new challenge as his wife Focus. What am I doing here? I'm reading two sentences at once. New challenges as his focus turns from Luke to Padme, the wife of the man Vader used to be. And what secrets lie in the tomb of Padme Amidala? So that's pretty cool. Tying the movies together with the comics. This is why comics are way better than movies. They bridge the gap on a variety of things. They show you more than what the movies could show you. Comics rule. Alright, let's go over to Dynamite. Let's get some Dynamite books. We've got the usual stuff here, Vampirella, Red Sonja, cosplay covers, and so forth. So, we've also got the James Bond. Dynamite has been publishing a James Bond series. Dark Horse was publishing them back in the 90s, and now they're over at Dynamite. So Van Jensen, Ian Fleming as the writers, and Kuber Bal as artist, Faye Dalton as this particular cover artist. I like her stuff. In this second adaptation of the Fleming novels, Bond is sent to New York to investigate Mr. Big and agents of SMERSH and a criminal voodoo leader. Now, to my knowledge, SMERSH is a real thing, right? It's not one of these SMERSH. Was an umbrella organization for 3 independent counterintelligence agencies in the Red Army formed in 1942, officially in 1943. Yep. So, yep, SMERSH is real. Not like, what are the fictional James Bond villainous names of things? Anyway, so yeah, this is a hardcover collection of James Bond comics. So, recommended if you're into James Bond. We've got the Red Sonja Chaos Comics universe mashup going on. This is issue number 6. Derek Chew cover. This is the Virgin cover, $50. And who's this character? That's not. Is that Chastity? I don't think it's Chastity. I'm blanking on my characters at the moment. On my Chaos Comics characters. But here's a Lucio Perillo cover. He's doing the regular covers. Very realistic style of art. And got Red Sonja being badass as always. She-Devil with a sword. And we got the cosplay variant. So I've been trying to pick up cosplay variants whenever I see them. Let's get a close-up on that. Very on model for the character. Missing the boots, however. She would not be caught without her boots. And sword and hair and chainmail looks great. The power of Kulan Goth's amulet has finally been claimed by one of those who sought it, and only Red Sonja is left to stave off the end of all things. It's a literal she-devil versus the she-devil with a sword, as Sonja and Purgatory meet in pitched battle to decide the fate of time itself. one or another, the Age of Chaos will end here. So what do you think about the Vampirella Red Sonja books that are coming out and such? Here's the final order cutoff date variant cover. This is only available if you pre-order enough of them. You gotta tell your comic shop that VM Campos sent you. And pretty cool, tough cover, tough looking Red Sonja as always right here. Red Sonja Age of Chaos. So it's mashing up the Chaos Universe characters, Evil Ernie and so forth, with Red Sonja. Are you into Red Sonja? Did you ever read her comics? What about Vampirella? She's a 50-year-old character that's been out. Her issue number 12 is out at the moment. Lots of variant covers to check out. Seduction of the Innocent continues. Lilith triumphant, having crushed her daughter's will. Lilith of Draculon kidnaps Vampirella's therapist and recruits Vampy, now ex-girlfriend, as she escalates her win to the next level. Vampirella tells Carrie of Lilith's origin, a story of the corruption of one of Draculon's greatest heroines. This is the Levant Kanga cover. There's a bunch of other covers as usual. This one's pretty epic right here. This white background cover. There's Vampirella's mom defeating her own daughter. It reminds me of like the Gonzalez covers with just a stark white background. And don't mess with mom. See, does this have this has a cosplay cover, of course. These are the ones that I'm always looking for. Let's get a close-up of that. So this is a very cool cosplay cover in the form of like the background really gives you the sense that I think there's a little too much mist in this, but the outfit looks good. We've got the lapels and everything. I don't think Vampirella usually wears such big earrings, but the hair is great, the boots and everything. So yeah, I'm always looking forward to these cosplay covers on all of these various company. Perillo is also working on Vampirella books, and here is his regular cover. As usual, lots of blood, lots of realism. Let's go over to Boom Studios. Does anything stand out on Boom? Well, the new Buffy Willow series is on issue number 2. I've talked about the Willow series before. After the events of Hellmouth, Willow has set out on a world trip to find herself and maybe some answers about her powers along the way. Now, in the magical, and we mean that literally, town of Awain, Awain, that's how that might be pronounced, Willow seems to have found a home. After all, they tell her the outside world is dangerous. After all, isn't it easier just to stay in Awain? Pretty cool cover here. This is by Jen Bartel, interior art by Nacha Bustos. I usually like her art. And this artist right here, I think, did a great job on this as well. Getting some notifications by the people. Cool. Thank you for all of that. Yeah, so Willow is is that issue out at the moment. Issue number 2, that is, that's coming out. We've got Faithless number 2 second printing, so this has been pretty popular. It's completely TVMA, however. It's very violent and very sexy, Brian Azarel. And I don't mean sexy like, okay, wow, that they're in lingerie. It's like hardcore sexy. And then Mariah Lovett as the artist. So we can kind of see a little bit of this here. It says, an erotic depiction of faith, sex, and the devil in the tradition of the Divine Comedy. So this is Faithless number 2. So there's already been a volume 1 of it with those various stories. And then now we've got volume 2, and this is going to second printing. And yeah, that's out there. Strange Skies Over East Berlin trade paperback would be something to get if you want to binge read Jeff Loveness writer, Lisandro Estherren as artist, and Evan Cagle cover artist, when a mysterious alien probe lands outside East Berlin and into Soviet control. This is obviously happening before 1989. The Americans send their top spy in to investigate. Herring has spent the entire Cold War infiltrating the inner circles of East German intelligence for a cause he barely believes in anymore. But as he gets ever closer to the truth, he may find that the power he seeks is too dangerous for anyone to control or contain. Writer Jeff Loveness, Judas, and artist Lissandra Estherren Redneck present a chilling and intense thriller about a terrifying inhuman threat at the heart of the Cold War, and one American spy who can save the world if he can save himself, collects the complete 4-issue series. So that cover looks pretty cool right there. And it's a trade paperback. This is what I like about comics, in that they can have so many stories. Here's a Cold War story. It doesn't actually exactly say when this happens, but I'm gonna guess in the 60s. It feels like a lot of East German intrigue sort of thing happens in the 60s, and so that Strange Skies Over Berlin trade paperback. Moving over to our final leg of comics, we've got the Alternative Press comics. So I had not heard of this. Adler number 3. Did I miss the first ones? From the World Fantasy Award-winning writer Lavi Tidar and artist Paul McCaffrey comes an all-new story written in the vein of Alan Moore and Kevin O'Neill's The League of Extraordinary Gentlemen. Irene Adler and her team of Victorian heroines encounter a mysterious villain even more dangerous than Moriarty. So that sounds cool. It's Irene Adler. It's in the world of Sherlock Holmes, A League of Extraordinary Gentlemen. Cool. Had never heard of this. Rian Hughes is the cover artist. It's just the cover artist. Doesn't look like to be the interior artist. Let's see the interior art. Okay, the interior art is this realistic style. Give me like a little bit of steampunk vibes to this. I hadn't heard of this book. And Madame Curie's research was into something called radiation, invisible rays, which are all around us. Unfortunately, she discovered how deadly they can be too late. Yeah, so it's like League of Extraordinary Gentlemen with like real characters, but in a sort of a comic book telling of them. Yeah, interior art is cool. I like that. That's by Paul McCaffrey. I, to be honest, kind of like this style of art a little bit more. This sort of like flat style. What's the style of this art called? I want to say Hanna-Barbera, but not really. Powerpuff Girls style, but with a lot of cell shading. So yeah, Adler. This is already on issue number 3. Why did I miss issues 1 and 2? And we got some variant covers. Okay, here's a brand new issue number 1. This is from Broadsword Comics. Written by Jim Ballant. Cover art by Jim Ballant. New 48-page square-bound format. The Shadow Witch, Raven Hex, is chosen by the Dark Goddess to be her sword maiden. Raven uses this new opportunity to take revenge on mankind. This is an alternate path story arc and part of the ongoing Tarot Witch of the Black Rose comic series. So Jim Ballant, famous for doing the bad girl style of art of Catwoman back in the 90s. He then created his Tarot Witch of the Black Rose in the year 2000, so that's a creator-owned comic in the last 20 years. And here we have a deluxe litho edition. Cool. And then we've also got the cosplay. Ooh, cosplay. Is this a real cosplay? It looks kind of cartoony. No, it's real. Real cosplay. And I don't know, it kind of looks embellished actually. Part real, part not. Signed by Jim Ballant. Okay, so we got that. Animosity number 28. I've loved that series. It's the basic premise is what if the animals of the world one day came to life and said no more, and they start taking revenge on humanity. This is a fascinating comic book, issue 28. They've taken a lot of hiatuses, so it's been out for more than 2 years. It's 12. Yeah, it's been out. I'm gonna say 2016 or so. It's been out for a while, and I've been loving these covers. These covers are always incredibly fascinating. So here we have these dinosaurs plus the oil derricks, and I don't believe the original. Well, Marguerite Bennett is still writing it. She was there from the beginning, but then Elton Tomasi. I guess he was also writing it since the beginning. Rafael De La Torre, Marcello Maiolo. Those are the names I remember. But then we've also got Juancho and Taylor Esposito. Let's look right here. Out of curiosity. Yeah, this is the whole series. Okay, yeah. So if you go back to the original issue number 1, but that's 5th printing, 2016. Yeah, so the series came out in 2016, and I enjoyed it. These covers are something else. Some of the most interesting covers ever. Especially when they juxtapose the animals and the people. And some of them are just really interesting. Here's another dinosaur, oil field one. Yeah, so check out Animosity. Archie Comics, Bloodshot, Butcher Knight trade paperback. Okay, so we've got the I mentioned this one before, but I've been enjoying the Sumerian, the versions of Conan from Ablaze. So check back on the previous videos. But basically it's Ablaze's version of Conan, and they're publishing a variety of Robert Howard's stories from back in the 30s. So if you want an alternate take to Conan, gotta check this out. Constitution Illustrated. This seems interesting. I like when they blend history plus comics. So who do we have here? We've got Ignatz, Charlie Brown. What's that? Robert Crumb cat. Felix. It's not Felix Cat. The 9 Lives of Felix. The 9 Lives. Who is that cat from Robert Crumb? Maybe even it says right there, but I can't remember. What are the characters from Archie? The master of pop culture pastiche visually interprets the complete text of the supreme law of the land with more than a century of American pop culture icons. Sikoriak distills the very essence of the government legalese from the abstract to the tangible, the historical to the contemporary. This is another instance of why I love comics. Here we take the Constitution, the most important document in the United States, the one that we strive for a more perfect union, and it's hard to read. If you haven't read the Constitution, I recommend you do. It's a fascinating document. If everyone read the Constitution, I think the US would be a much better place. But what about if we have this comic book version of the Constitution? Maybe people will read it, understand it enough to then want to go read the original document and then abide by it, because that is a wondrous document that if we all followed would cure society's ills. Dark Shadows. I cannot zoom in on those. And Triad, the Grieveling, they're still promoting those. Gudetama has a hardcover comic inspired by the worldwide hit Sanrio character and animated series star. How do I get a job while still having enough time to party? I'm supposed to pay rent every month. How am I supposed to live without my mom doing my laundry? Adulting is tough. Thankfully, Gudetama is here to guide you on your path to growth. Not final artwork. Adulting for the lazy. So hilarious. I've seen those little toys out in the real world and I love them. Oh, the I Make Boys Cry series is finally out, right? So here we have, from the creators of White Widow, this is the finale in a two-part crossover event that began in White Widow number 5 and ends here. I Make Boys Cry is a group of Black Ops assassins who use the latest in high-tech weapons combined with martial art prowess that begins from the time they're little girls. Will White Widow be tough enough to join them or die trying? So is this just realistic art, or is this a cosplay? This is a cosplay cover with, of course, blood embellishments. Looks pretty cool cover. Okay, here's a cartoon art. This is a hollow foil cover. Kreese is the cover artist on that. And then one more is a wraparound cover, doesn't show the back. The war is coming. Enroll now. Yeah, so this whole White Widow universe is pretty interesting. Kids is still publishing. Kimagure, Orange Road, Omnibus. That's a classic series. When is that from? When is Kimagure Orange Road originally? I feel that it's from the 80s. Let's take a quick side tour. 1984 to 1987 was the original series. You know, right away I could recognize this was Matsumoto art, classic 80s style. A battle of the bands means Kyosuke's gang is ready to rock, but Kyosuke's sure that no man can resist a cute girl who shines on stage 2. Can he stand the competition? Once the holiday arrives, good cheer takes over until a certain meddling little cousin shows up. How will Kyosuke and his friends balance tough classes and even tougher crushes? So this is a classic manga series that you gotta check out from back in the days. It's volume number 2, so of course go get volume number 1 first. Unsacred is coming out. Of course I'm getting that. Nori graphic novel. Rumihara. Ignatz nominated and Mocha Artist Festival award-winning cartoonist Rumihara invites you to visit her magical world. Nori, short for Noriko, is a spirited 3-year-old girl who lives with her parents and grandmother in the suburbs of Osaka during the 80s. In mesmerizing short stories of black and white artwork with alternating spot color, Hara draws on East Asian folklore and Japanese culture to create an enchanting milieu that Nori tries to make sense of, wrestling between the reality of what she sees and the legends her grandma shares with her. I'm sold. I want to pick this up. I just love picking up alternative stuff. $24.99. Again, I wish this would this is from Drawn and Quarterly. I wish that they had like a I wish that these had like a page count so that I know how much these books, how much I'm reading, because I don't know about you, but when I binge read, I just can't put the book down. And based on the cover art and the description of this, I just want a nice big book for $24.99. And it seems kind of interesting. What about yourself? What would you say is the optimal length of a graphic novel so that you feel that you got your money's worth when you binge read it on one sitting? What else is going on? Possessed 1 and 2 is out. This one, so both issues are out at the moment. Steve Niles and Gyula Nemeth. Basically, it takes place during Nazi-occupied Budapest time, so World War II. A young woman sees her mother and father brutally murdered by an SS officer. She escapes with her grandfather and the help of a rabbi. Filled with rage and hatred, the grandfather asks the rabbi for help, and she shows them an ancient box that contains a demon filled with hate and violence. So once again, like the stories of comics, the variety of what can be made is why I love them. Then we have things like Rick and Morty, Go to Heck, and this is issue number 3. I picked up the first one, it was very enjoyable, and then the next ones are coming out, of course. And if you need more Rick and Morty, that's Rick and Morty going through the levels of Hades. I guess as we're winding down the episode for today, I want to thank you for coming. Let me just do a little copy. So as we're winding down the episode for this week, I want to thank you for coming to visit as always. Hopefully you find out a bunch of new comics that you might be interested in, that you might not have known about, that your old pal VM Campos is telling you all about. Now, White Widow, what is up with the series? Hey there, Stevie, how are you doing? How are you doing? Thanks for joining the show. We're going to talk about a little bit of comics and so forth. So how's your day so far? Okay, as we wind down the show, let's look at the comics that are going to be brand new. These are the comics that are coming out soon, but these are the comics that are coming out this week. So we've got... Yes, I'm going to be on Magic tonight as usual. Yeah, I'm doing this morning comic show, and then also the Magic show. Definitely. Ooh, so Savage Dragon issue 250 is coming out with a bunch of variant covers. I'm gonna go with the homage to issue number 1. This is what issue number 1 was. And got a little preview there. I already have to blur stuff out there. There's been a lot of nudity recently on the Savage Dragon comics. And this is issue number 250 of that. Dark Horse is publishing Empowered Omnibus. Adam Warren. I love the art of Adam Warren. It's like this fun, cartoony style. This is $34, so it must be like 100 pages long or whatever. Yeah, this, she's got superpowers. There's all of these like funny villains and stuff. Advanced restraint research. And then all of these characters. That looks like Grunge from Gen 13. Look at this guy in the lower left corner with these googly eyes. Hilarious. And so I've gotten this book once in a while throughout the years. Over at IDW, we've got some Disney comics, Disney stories, comics and stories. Join Mickey Mouse and his friends for a new adventure. First, Mickey, Donald, and Goofy find themselves the targets of a shrink ray in Mickey in Miniature. Then Donald is late for his date with Daisy at the park and has to come up with a creative solution in Donald and the Parking Problem. And finally, Goofy brings his special skills to acrobatic skiing in Goofy Off-Piste. So yeah, classic. This is like the classic Goofy style. You know, he looks different. He looks like the old Goofy from like the original style. We've got G.I. Joe. Oh yeah, I mentioned this previously. There's a new Star Trek Deep Space Nine. My favorite Star Trek of all, Deep Space Nine. And so they're publishing a brand new Star Trek Deep Space Nine, Too Long a Sacrifice #1. Scott Tipton and Denton Tipton as the writers, and Greg Scott as the artist. Death casts its shadow as Constable Odo searches for truth amid a web of treachery and lies. Everyone on the promenade has a motive for his murder, be it vengeance, justice, or old-fashioned greed. Legendary Star Trek scribes Scott and David Tipton team up with noir artist Greg Scott for their first Deep Space Nine comic series in a decade. So yeah, I miss Deep Space Nine, one of my favorite series. And here we have a new series coming out this week. It's like visiting old friends. There's Garrick, plain simple Garrick. Do you like Star Trek? Do you like any of the Star Trek series? Or the movies? because I know that I love me some Deep Space Nine. Over at DC, we've got the Preacher 25th Anniversary Omnibus. Garth Ennis, writer, Steve Dillon, Steve Pugh, Carlos Ezquerra as artist, and Glenn Fabry as the cover artist. Merging with a bizarre spiritual force called Genesis, Texan preacher Jesse Custer possesses the power of the Word, an ability to make people do whatever he commands. Custer embarks on a violent and riotous journey across the country, joined by his gun-toting girlfriend Tulip and the hard-drinking Irish vampire Cassidy. Witness dark atrocities and improbable calamities during his sojourn across America, collects Preacher 1 through 33, the Preacher Special 1 through 4, the other special Whiskey Number 1. So $125, but it's got lots and lots and lots of pages of the comic. And that's out there for fans that like the series. Over at Marvel, I gotta say, Marvel... WTH, what are you doing with these stupid variant covers on sale Wednesday? So when I saw these, I thought, like, is this like an unfinished cover that they haven't published, that they haven't figured out the art for yet? No, this is a real cover that it simply says on sale Wednesday. Like, there's so much other amazing art that exists that then they're publishing these that just says on sale Wednesday. I guess this is like they're trying to take a stab at DC that they're publishing on Tuesday, and then they're like, ours are on Wednesday as always. Anyway, here's the zombie variant cover. The Vulture, Green Goblin, the Rhino, Dr. Octopus. See, that's a cover, not like on sale Wednesday. And we've got another one here from the Avengers, number 34. Conan versus Black Panther. Sorry, Conan, you are dead. So a bunch of Marvel issues at the moment. Not really reading anything. Oh, I'm reading actually Spider-Woman. So finally Spider-Woman number 2 comes out. I bought number 1, and I read number 1, but when did it come out here? Back in March, before the pandemic started. There's a couple of interior pages. So, oops, there's the Rhino versus Spider-Woman with her brand new barf powers, I guess. Yeah, I like the art on this, and her new costume's really cool. I think I'm going to get this zombie cover. I think that cover looks great. That's by Ben Oliver. So I like those zombie covers. Venom 25-second printing. If you didn't get the original 25, there's second printing coming out. Over at Dynamite, the Betty Page comics are coming out. Apparently there's also the black bag photo cover. So it comes in a black bag so you can't see what you're buying because it's got a photo of Betty Page in all her natural beauty. And we know what that means. So instead you could go to one of the art ones. There's a cosplay cover. Who is the cosplayer? Doesn't say here, but Betty Page cosplay cover. Red Sonja. The Chatzudis cover. Very cool in the snow. This cosplay cover I think looks very good. We've got her boots, the chainmail, red hair, big old weapon, cool, animal pelt cloak. I think this is a great cosplay cover. Finally, the Red Sonja and Vampirella and Betty and Veronica comic is out. It's been a while since the last issue came out. I believe also this one, because of the pandemic, got pushed back. Because the last one that I got, yeah, it was number 10, and now it's on number 11. Jack is back, and the Pulaski Pharma billionaire is ready for revenge. Now Vampirella is caught between saving her friends or Draculon, her home planet, but is it too late? So that's been an interesting story. It's mixing Betty and Veronica from Archie Comics plus Vampirella and Red Sonja. So comics are so wacky. Got this Dan Parent style of the classic sort of vintage, so the very, very cartoony style of Dan Parent. That's a fun cover. So here's an issue number 1, Sacred 6. This is a spin-off from the recent, there's a ton of covers on that, from the recent Vampirella series. That's finally coming out. Again, before the pandemic, this issue was supposed to come out a long time ago. But it's barely coming out now. There's a Megan Hetrick cover. Looks very cool. I like the juxtaposition of the characters with the white of the clothing and such. The Vampirella series is out. Cosplay cover. Yeah. Boom Studios. What am I looking forward to in Boom Studios? Oh, Evan Dorkin's Bill and Ted comic. The most non-heinous Eisner-nominated series, Bill and Ted's Excellent Comic Book, has returned. This archive edition contains Evan Dorkin's entire 11-issue series on Bill and Ted's Excellent Comic. Adaptation completely remastered and collects in a prestige, full-color, softcover, all-new value price, $24.99. So yeah, Evan Dorkin plus Marie Severine, cool. And I like Evan Dorkin's style of art. He of course worked on Milk and Cheese in the beginning. Hey, there's Rufus. Plus all that Edison. So a robotic Bill and Ted. So that's a cool one. Bill and Ted comic. There's some collectibles. These are cool. Which do I like the best? Batman looks great. Superman 2. I think they kind of go over the top on their shoulders a little bit. What do you think about that? Are those shoulders way too big? And we've got Wonder Woman, Hawkgirl. So all of these are from the animated series. And it looks exactly like the animated series, that Bruce Timm style, 6.5 inches tall. You can do a zoom in right here. Yeah, cool. So those are some toys coming out from DC. Got some other cool looking things. That Batman right there looks nice as well. $150, however, is not a nice price. What do you think about that? Would you get one of these super high quality modern statues? Here's Batman. It's a Diamond Select toy. There's only 3,000 of them, so obviously that's why the price is $150. What do you think about that? Is that a good price for this? This is designed by Barry Bradfield, sculpted by Varner Studios. We've got the Emma Frost Diamond Select. Looks cool. This is in the style maybe of Greg Land. Let's get a close-up here. Yeah, pretty cool. Very shiny outfit. I like the base right here, like she's standing on like a sentinel, I guess, or something. The cape looks good, expression and pose and everything, just like in the comic. Looks nice. The Iron Giant. I remember that movie. Did you ever watch The Iron Giant? Diamond Select Toys release. The Iron Giant has landed, and he's the newest select action figure based on the classic 1999 film. This 9-inch tall action figure features approximately 16 points. How can you say approximately 16 points of articulation? It's articulated or not, so how can that be approximately? Has light-up eyes and features removable Hogarth Hughes and S-Shield accessory, packed in display-ready select action figure packaging with side panel artwork for shelf reference. So that's cool. Let's get a zoom in close-up of that. So I like that a lot. You can put Hogarth there if you want or not, plus the S, make it cool poses, and so forth. I like that. Got a Deadpool, mini Deadpool. This is the, Lucy, Charlie Brown style here. Mercs, 1 million a Merc. That's kind of funny. You love the movie, even had the VHS and you watched it till it broke. I hear people talk about when they were playing VHSs a lot that they broke. My VHS never broke, but I guess I didn't watch it as hardcore as that, but I guess it happens, playing it over and over and over. Yeah, because you have to play it and then rewind it and everything, right? This is pretty fun right here. The cute style of Deadpool. This is fun. How much does this cost? $125, so the price is not cute. But there's the back of it right there. Oh, look at that little Deadpool reaching over his desk and everything. That's funny. Rubber chicken with a skillet full of pancakes. Hilarious. Look at one more. This is Ronin from Marvel. $49 from Avengers Endgame. There's our close-up. Cool sword, outfit and everything. The base looks nice. It's supposed to be the top of a building. I don't think they have enough of the top of the building. It doesn't really look like the top of the building that much. I think you should have more of the top of the building. What do you think? I don't think it really looks like he's on top of like the building ready to kill someone, so... Anyway, I just one more here. This is the transparent one. Kind of cool. Transparent Emma Frost. Cool. Alright, if we go over to the other publishers. Attractive Cousins one-shot. I don't think I can zoom in on that. Belladonna Comics. So, Donut the Destroyer. I recognize that Sarah Greeley art. A free comic book day titled Donut, middle name The, last name Destroyer, has a heart of gold and incredible strength. She lives in a world where everyone is born with a special ability and can choose whether to develop it for good or evil. Donut has just received the best news of her life. She's been accepted to Lionheart School for Heroes. But her parents are the most infamous villains around, and her best friend Ivy can't understand why Donut would choose a life of boring heroism and ruin their plans to cause chaos. Sounds like a fun story. It is written by Steph Piernins and cover art and interior art by Sarah Greeley. She did some of the Rick and Morty comics, and I like her style. So we've got Dose, Meta Drugs, Sean Ellis, writer John Gebbia. Dose is a unique interpretation of the superhero genre, which explores what would happen to society if the technology and superhero population introduced in the Silver Age of comics grew exponentially today. Superpowers are mundane, kaiju walk the streets, and cybernetic enhancements surgery is just a phone call away. If you have the qubits to pay for it, that is. Within the environment, we meet the Screwworm, an unemployed ex-teenage meta-hero sidekick with a growing dependency on drugs and too much time on his hands. Through a series of calamitous events, the screwworm unwittingly stumbles into a conspiracy that threatens to hasten the destruction of the world, already teetering on the edge of collapse. So this is one of these comics that's all about, like, you know, we have the goody goody two shoes version of comics where everything turns out okay in the end. But then there's like Watchmen and what was that other one? Super Brats? What was it called? Anyway, we've got these other ones where it's like the bad, the underside, the dark side of superheroes. So it's a new #1. And it's coming out from It's Alive Comics. So that's a new issue #1. To get in on the ground floor if you want to see like the alternative aspect of superheroes. Engine Ward #1 is coming out. Earth is an ancient myth, long forgotten. Now the world of the godlike Celestials is absolute and they rule with brutal efficiency. So this is Engine Ward #1 from Vault Comics. Jorge Mann as the writer and Joe Aizma as the cover artist and interior art. Let's look at some interior art over here. Looks pretty cool. I guess if you buy it, you'll get the uncensored version. It Eats What Feeds It #1. From Scout Comics, Max Hoven and Aaron Crow are the writers, and Gabriel Lumazark is the artist. I love this cover art. In this grimy horror romp, Francois, a stunning middle-aged woman, has developed a worsening affliction and seeks a young caretaker to keep her lavish Creole mansion deep in the mystic bayou of Louisiana. Kenny, a teenage half-wit looking for a summer job, stumbles right to her doorstep. Free rent, free meals, high pay, easy work, and a provocative boss? What's there for Kenny to refuse? Well, there's the blood-covered kitchen spilling over with raw meat, and the bolt-locked steel-plated attic door he's restricted access to. Are these red flags worth the risk of missing out on a wild summer romance? So this seems pretty cool. From these smaller alternative publishers, the art looks cool. I like the graphic design aspect of it, the sort of Art Deco style of it. It eats what it feeds. From Scout Comics, so that's one I like. It's Your Funeral graphic novel, so a complete bingeable story. Emily Reisbeck as the writer, and Ellen Kramer, artist. Marnie Winters was going to turn her life around, get out of the house, make friends, no more miserable old Marnie. Everything was going to plan, but then of course she died. That's funny. Now Marnie's a ghost trapped on Earth, and the only one who can help her is the over-enthusiastic alien social worker Zell, whose job is to help ghosts close their file and pass on. Zell has as much better idea to soothe Marnie's troubled spirit, an internship in the hopeless bureaucracy of the Trans-Dimensional Department of Special Affairs. So this sounds like a pretty fun story. Whoops, I'm dead, but then like my social worker's trying to get me to the other side. And it's a complete graphic novel here, complete story, seems pretty fun. The art looks cute. I like the style of cute art. And that's fun right there. So this is published by Iron Circus Comics. Support your smaller comics, Marvel and DC and all of them. They're going to be fine, but you got to support these smaller comics as well. So I'm looking through If anything stands out, of course, shout it out and we'll zoom in on it. But this seems interesting. Murder Hobo from Scout, 18 plus mature content. In the land of high adventure, a brave band of heroes undertake dangerous quests in search of fame and fortune. The exploits of these fearless explorers who dare delve into the deepest of dungeons will be sung about by the bards for eons. This is not their story. No, this is a tale of what happens when a well-intentioned group of would-be adventurers recruit the wrong kind of hero, the dreaded murder hobo. Selfish assassins who thrive on illicit acts and unprovoked bursts of violence, these agents of chaos can foil even the best-laid plans. Follow the exploits of Drunko and Nympho, a pair of murder hobos, with different methods, but the same goal, to keep all the loot for themselves. So that sounds hilarious. This is in the style of comics that's, 18 plus, even though the art is, funny. And so, yep, these characters look really... You do not want to mess with them. They're kind of cute, but you don't want to mess with them. Vaguely in sort of I think also a Adult Swim style. That looks fun. We have Joseph Schmelk as the writer and Jason Lynch as the artist. We got the rock and roll biography of Sublime, and you went into Sublime, the classic song Santeria and so forth. This is from Acme Inc. 3 unlikely musicians from Long Beach come together and revolutionize the music industry with their reggae dub playing. Read how Bradley Nowell rose to the fame he craved but fell to the demons it came with. An extraordinary tale of the commitment and brotherhood shared, and the tragedies that took their toll. Also, Chapter 4 of the Jason Becker story. So there's Lou Dog and everyone right there. So this cover looks really cool. MC Lovecraft is the cover artist, but Nestor Tani Tado is the interior artist, but yeah, it's a pretty cool cover right here. So any of you into Sublime, I have their big famous album. Well, I've got all their albums actually, but their famous one, Sublime, with such amazing songs. I play that all the time. Santeria is one of my favorite songs. There's a bunch of other ones too. So that... Ooh, and then right here, Space Riders, Vortex of Darkness. I think we'll finish the show for today on this, unless there's other requests to look at other things. But Space Riders, Vortex of Darkness number 2 is by Carlos Giofoni and Alexis Zirit. I read issue number 1. I loved it. This style of art is amazing. It's like this grungy, underground, Latinx style of things, Adult Swim, grungy style. I read the first one, and there's a Captain Peligro, and he has to go stop some ultimate, I think her name is La Bruja, with his pal there, Mono. And the art was just tremendous on that issue. It was extremely well done, extremely violent as well. And this is one of the few comics, and I read issue number 1, that I read it and then reread it right away. There's very few comics that I reread right away. I've got a whole stack of comics, and then I read it, and I have more comics to read. But this one, I read it, issue number 1, and then I just had to read it again right away. And then, of course, I reviewed it on my podcast and all of that. So finally, issue number 2 is coming out. Issue number 1 came out 10 years ago. As we can see here, it came out back in November 2019, and issue number 2 is finally coming out July 15th, or just came out, I guess. And And then number 3 comes out in September. Yeah, these are coming out like quarterly or something. So this was issue number 1 here. It's been 20 years since the writers defeated the destroyer god of evil and saved the galaxy. But when the mother of all evil gods appears and threatens to take control of every dimension and every strain of possible reality, the now cybernetically enhanced ex-writers will come together and travel into her mind to assassinate her soul. It's a suicidal mission to an infinite vortex of blood and death. That description is just epic. And back on my top comic book picks way back at the end of last year, I had mentioned get this book, and then when I got it, it was amazing. And yeah, like I read it and reread it, it was so good. So finally, issue number 2 is coming out, as I showed there, and then eventually issue number 3 looks like that. The satanic nightmare continues. A vortex of death and blood takes the riders to an unexpected location before they reach the Empress of Darkness, Mar Leonza, the final barrier demonic versions of themselves, ready to take over the reins of their souls. Yeah, how can you not love this description? And I will not read number 4, because obviously that's the next one. But this series has been epic. It's amazing. It's totally TVMA, rated R, and all of that. But I loved it. And I'm glad that issue number 2 is finally coming out. There we go. So I think that's a good place to stop there. This has been a long episode. Talking about a bunch of comics. Totally appreciate everyone coming to hang out and talk about comics and such. I do this every Saturday, 11:30 a.m. for about an hour or so. But I went this time an hour and a half. Time flies when you're having fun with comics. And yeah, if you come and join the show again next time, we'll talk about comics, all the Marvel comics, DC, Image, Black Mask, all the alternative comics that you might not know about. We'll also look at the comics that you're interested in and so forth. But these are the comic picks that are either coming out very soon, so you have to order them this Monday, or the comics that are coming out this week, as told by your comic fan, VM Campos. So, thanks everyone for coming to hang out. I hope you do it again next time. If you missed the live part of it, this video will be recorded, so you can go back. After I add in the chapter stops, you'll be able to jump to the various chapters and watch the part. Oh, I care. Let me look at the Image comics. Let me look at the Dynamite comics and so forth. So, after I have a little lunch, I'm going to go do that. But yep, this has been VM Campos. Thanks so much for hanging out. Hope to see you again next time.